Hello and welcome to the China Masterclass webinar. And today we're focusing on the phenomenon of new retail in China and what the opportunities are for Western brands. My name is Paul Sutton, and in case you haven't come across this series of webinars before, the focus is on creating long-term relationships, trust and value in China. And every episode we invite a special guest who is a particular expert in this field. Today is Richie, so many thanks Richie for joining us. I'll let Sally introduce Richie a little bit more in a minute or so. Before I do that, just to introduce Sally as my co-host for this series. So Sally is an expert in China-related PR and brand building. She is the founder of 11K Consulting, and she works with Western groups in helping them to create and implement PR strategies. So Sally, let me hand over to you just to give a bit more background to our special guest today.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Paul. Hello, everyone. This is our first series in 2021. We promise that you'll get good values out of our interview with our special guest speaker, Richie, today. I'm very delighted that Richie is joining us from China. How is China, Richie?
Yeah, maybe. Hello, everyone. So actually, it is very good in China. You see that the virus is under control. So everyone in China, different cities, so they don't need to wear the mask, but actually the citizen, they are proactively to wear the mask when they are in the daily transportation, daily life. They still concerned about this. Yeah.
That's great. That's really good. That's very on spot and related to what we are going to discuss today, new retail. So may I briefly introduce Richie and who you are. So Richie Yong is a very well recognized expert in new retail and e-commerce in China and across Asia. A few years ago, Richie founded the Asian General Chamber of New Retail, ANR, headquartered in Hong Kong, and also had different chapters in China and Southeast Asia, as well as here in the UK. And I know that Richie is a very experienced e-commerce expert before setting up ANR, and you are also a guest lecturer talking about new retail strategies in Hong Kong, China, and as far as Denmark. So we are very honored to have you today to share your knowledge and insights on new retail strategy in China, as well as how brands are doing in terms of PR in China at this very, very special time. So without further ado, may I ask Richard, the first question, what is new retail exactly? And can you give us an example of a good Chinese brand who is adopting this new retail strategy really well? Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Paul. So in general definition, so new retail, that means actually, say for example, a brand they would like to enter a new market. Okay, so traditionally, normally they will use the offline distribution. They find a distributor for their market, a B2B approach to enter a market and then penetrate it. However, in the mainland China, a lot of brands, local brand or foreign brand, they would like to have more control. So that means nowadays they transform from just using a traditional approach and then adopt more new ideas how to make more connection with their end customer. So in general term, they need to have an integration with the online channels, integrate with the offline channels. So a brands, they need to have their product display listing on those traditional offline point of sales. In addition, they also need to have their presence on those online channels. Say, for example, those marketplaces in China through cross-border e-commerce or through social commerce. Okay, so the integration between online and offline, not just from the commercial terms, from the management, from the strategic levels, they also need to think about this first. And in addition to the online and offline, they need to have a very good IT or data management components when they doing business in China. They need to capture the data from the end customer as well. And of course, in order to make the business very smooth, they need to have a good supply chain management. Okay, so that may involve some cross-border logistics. Yeah. Okay, so that is a general definition for the new retail. So online, offline, data management, and also good supply chain management.
Cool. Okay. So can you give an example of a Western brand that you think is doing this really well right now, as an example?
Basically, let me think about this. So I think L'Oreal, a beauty brand, okay, a L'Oreal group, okay, they actually, this brand from overseas, but they come to China for a long period of time. So the management team and the operation team, they have different channels, they have different strategy, okay, to handle this market. So what we see is that for those marketplaces in China, that say for example the Tmall Global, JD, Kala, they have a lot of online flagship store, which for the end user, they can search very easily on their mobile phone. They can search the product, search their brand information, and also they have good content on those social media marketing application in China. Say for example, Weibo, WeChat, they all did a very good job. And for the offline, they also have some may be direct management, some may be through franchise. They have different flagship store on those shopping malls across different cities in China. Okay, and one thing, they adopt some new retail components during these few years. Say, for example, they apply some retail tax during their offline store. So the end customer go to the physical store under this brand, they can experience by using some retail technology to share some to share their have the experience, retailing experience with their end customer. So more interaction between the brands and the end customer, that is very important. And the brands also can collect and connect with those end customers, so they can have the data from their end customer. That is very good.
So it's all about ongoing engagement and getting online purchases or offline and vice versa. Stanley, did you have any commentary about what you've seen in terms of Western brands who are doing it right out there?
Yes, I think Richie gave us a really strong example of how a Western giant brand has managed to adapt and strive in the very competitive beauty market in China. What I would like to add on is from a PR perspective, what I think L'Oreal has done really well, in addition to the new retail strategy, is in terms of their brand image, their PR messaging. I think COVID has hit a lot of retail brands really hard, but L'Oreal continued to succeed in this time because they managed to spot and adapt the local demands and interests. Meaning, for example, last year, they did a big launch on Beauty Tech Challenge, really trying to position themselves as a beauty tech leader in China, trying to invite startups in China to join beauty tech competition, which was a great success, and therefore build their reputation and leadership in the beauty tech sector in China. Another example they did last year as well, they launched green parcel graffiti competition, again trying to educate and advocate green consumption in China, which is just starting. So from a PR perspective, I thought they did really well because they understand what Chinese consumers are looking for beyond the sales side of things, and how they are able to capture the momentum and communicate their messaging very, very on brand and on trend. So I think when Western brands try to enter Chinese market, besides the sales strategy, it's also equally important to think about what they want to be perceived as a caring brand in China.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought.
Okay, so it sounds like that's consistent with themes from previous episodes, which is it's about the long-term, wider relationship, the wider messages, and not just sales and so on. Okay, so going back to you, Richie, if you don't mind. So, looking at it from the perspective of a Western group which is trying to adopt this strategy right now, what would you see as the key elements of the route map for that to achieving that in terms of brand building and PR?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you, Sally, and thank you, Paul. So actually, in the new retail, we have 55 components. And say, for example, e-commerce, social media marketing, live streaming, and PR, of course, is one very core component. And of course, legal is also very core components we need to deal with for a Western brand they would like to enter the China market. So, and what I would like to suggest, we can separate into two stages. The first stage is market entry. The second stage will be the market penetration and medium to long terms for later period. So for the first stage, market entries, I would like to say for the PR roadmap, the compliance checking, the compliance is very, compliance management is very important for the brand. They need to understand those legal policy for their product registration, whether their product is allowed to sell in which approach, whether it is a cross-border e-commerce approach or a domestic B2B distribution approach. And before that, they need to have a checklist. All this legal compliance or commercial compliance, they need to have a checklist first. But from my experience, a lot of overseas brands, no matter they are big or small, startup or a very experienced mature brand, they don't know very well about this. So they need to ask the agents to help them to provide such consultancy service to let them to have a background check first. What are the compliance they need to face to deal with? Yeah, that is number one. Okay, and number two, I would like to suggest they need to find the agents to help them to do some market research, and the market research including a competitors research, no matter online, offline, or social media marketing. So because very competitive in the China market. So a brand owner, they need to understand how competitive, and they need to figure out or find out their unique selling point. Okay, maybe just one hero product, one key message, a right pricing strategy to the market. That will be very good. Yeah. Okay, that's.
Sorry, Richie, you just mentioned, I think, hero products. Could you just explain what that is?
Hero products means. Actually, in China, there are similar product category. They have a lot of brands. So a new brands, they would like to come to a new market, for example, China market. Normally, each brand, they have several SKU, several products, items. It is more cost-effective or more focused to figure out, okay, what, say, for example, a brand, they have 20 SKU. It is more cost-effective and focused to just pick one product as their hero products, and then based on these hero products to let more people, their potential business partner or end customer, to understand the brand value, the product benefits to the market first. Okay, instead of just share, I have a lot of products, so 20 products you just buy. Okay, yeah, it takes time to do it. Yeah.
Cool.
So number two, yeah, the second core PR roadmap, I would like to suggest the market research is very important. Yeah, before you enter the market, before you invest anything. And for number three, the third PR roadmap, I think related to the PR will be the message, the brand value or the core message they would like to share with the end customer in China. So they need to select the most appropriate social media channel to deliver this message to the end customer or the potential business partner. So social media channels, I mean Chinese social media channel is one of the things that the PR agency like to manage. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. How about you, Sally? How would you fit in with that in terms of what you see as the key PR steps?
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Richie. I think from my PR perspective, I think sometimes we may want to ignore the channel. It's not exactly about the channels in the sense that we want to understand our target audiences first, and then decide which channels we should use, which can be offline or online. I think sometimes when Western brands come to me and they say, oh, I want to be on Little Red Book, I want to be on WeChat because I was told that a lot of people are using WeChat, I was told that a lot of people are using Little Red Book. But then if you are targeting older generation male, then Little Red Book is not your channel because it's purely 95% female in their 20s. So we really need to understand our target audience and then design the channels, which I think is quite a common mistake for Western brands when they just want to do Chinese social media marketing. That's what I thought is quite important to highlight. The other thing is online PR. Despite COVID, despite the digital world, we have clients who are older generation and they still trust and read online newspapers. So we can't ignore those channels as well. So again, back to the key point, who are my target audience? What do they read? And then go to those channels. And I think sometimes less is more when we are facing so many channels and it changes every day. So that's my thought.
Cool, thank you. Cool. So I'd like to move on to the next question, which is about key pieces of advice. From starting with you, please, Richie, in terms of if you were advising an established Western brand that is really going for this approach, what are the key takeaways that you'd want people to really understand? Oh, hi, Richie. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, I just mute. I mute it. Okay. Actually, the Western and the Eastern market, one of the major differentiation will be the cultural differentiation, and cultural including literature, including the policy, including those politics. Okay. So I would like to suggest that for the Western brand, they want to enter the markets, they need to find an expert. Which they are very familiar, and at least they need to keep track with the cultural difference between the Western market and the Chinese market or the Eastern market. So such consultant can can assist the brand to deliver a right message to the audience or to the end customer in that market. So I think I would like to suggest that the Western brand, when they go enter the Chinese market, cultural difference is very important. So they need to find a good representative to help them to understand all the things first. Okay, and then construct an appropriate approach, attitude, and deliver the right message to them for their market. Yeah, that is very important. And one thing followed by that will be when they deliver the product or brand message to the audience, they need to sensitive to those national related aspects. Okay, so less talking about politics, no need to talk about national sensitive matters. I think the PR firm can give a good advice and management and execution plans to the brand. That will be very important. Otherwise, all the things you do, very good job, but just maybe a very careless mistake, then you will lose the market. Yeah.
I'm sure that's something that you would agree with, Sally.
Yes, absolutely. And from my point of view, I always advise our clients that China is a huge market. If you are thinking of quick wins within 12 months, you better not to even spend money on China, because things does take 3 to 5 years in order to take off and win really big in China. So I think that's the first advice I would give before you even want to do something in China. Can you commit to 3 to 5 year plan in China? That's my advice.
Fantastic, yeah. And Richie, I remember one thing that you said on our last call when we caught up before this. You said that brands should consider themselves as being local brands in China with overseas support. Can you just explain what you meant by that? Because I really liked that point of view.
Okay, the point is that actually a lot of the quality of from Western countries in the Chinese perspective, they think they have this perception. Western products, normally the quality is very good, okay, but the price is very high, okay, and those brand owners, they will just based on this point, they will have set a higher price point to the market, okay, and in order to earn more margin. However, because nowadays the internet is very transparent, so and a lot of Chinese, they study abroad, they have no more information gaps because of the internet. So they can search the pricing information, the price of the products of this brand, what they are selling, what are the price point they are selling in different market. If they find out the price point to the China market, the price of the product selling in China market have a significant differentiation higher than other countries, they will not happy. They will not happy. And then what our suggestion is that when a Western brand, they come to the China market, they treat themselves as a local brand first, a pure Chinese brand first. Okay, and that is what Sally shared with us. You have a 3 to 5 years brand, and then you become localized, okay, as a Chinese brand, and then you have a strategy to compete with the local brand. Okay, then based on your international high quality product assurance, product control, and the price point and the message is aligned with and compete with the local brand, then your winning opportunity will be higher. So that is what I would like to share with those Western brands. Just treat yourself as a local Chinese brand and compete with them or cooperate with them. And based on your international exposure, good research and product developments and good quality controls, then you can have a higher chance to win the market.
Fantastic. Well, unfortunately, we're running out of the time that we've allotted for this session. So I'd just like to recap on a couple of the key points, if that's okay. So obviously, we're talking about new retail, and what is it that makes new retail special? It's the integration between online and offline. It's the ongoing engagement, ongoing relationship, and therefore the need to manage data and the need to manage the ongoing communications in a holistic way. Richie gave the great example of L'Oreal as a Western group, which seems to be doing this very well. So, you know, that's good news for the rest of the world in that there are opportunities there. Richie also went through some of the basics in terms of a route map for this, starting with the usual preparations, I guess, in terms of market entry. So checking the compliance and the legal environment, doing a competitor analysis. Sally's points, looking at your target market and therefore what are the channels that are going to be focused on there. And then the nuts and bolts of the PR and brand building. In many ways, that's as for any other project. So it would include, as Sally mentions, the offline media, traditional media, maybe print, as well as online and the relevant social media channels. And then finishing off with that fantastic point about, you know, the need to really treat this as a local brand building exercise, you know, a local brand with the overseas support, as opposed to just thinking, well, we're foreign and therefore we deserve to get a premium on our prices. That's just not going to work anymore. So I'd like to say thank you so much to Richie. I know we've only scratched the surface on this, but really appreciate your input and guidance on this. Thank you very much, Sally. And Sally, can I hand over to you to
Sure.
just remind people as to how they can reach out if they've got any suggestions as to what they'd like us to cover in future episodes?
Yes, thank you. Thanks a lot, Paul, and thanks a lot, Richie. If you like this webinar, please do forward to your networks. And if you do want to share any feedback or ideas of our next speakers, please do email us at chinamasterclass@11kconsulting.com, or just link me or Paul or Richie on LinkedIn. We are always there.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.